Here are 5 reasons why Lost is the show that made mystery meaningless. Dharma initiative equals useless world building. From the very beginning of the show, we knew that the main characters had been brought to the island by the mysterious Dharma initiative. They quickly established that this was an extremely smart group of people who had created an advanced scientific community on the island. All of their research, their experiments, their entire purpose on the island amounted to nothing. Even worse, in the flash sideways, they're just shown as normal people going about their lives, which makes you wonder why they were even there in the first place if they were not going to be important. It would have made more sense if the Dharma Initiative had been some evil organization trying to weaponize the island's unique properties instead of a bunch of do-gooders who just wanted to help people. Their presence on the island should have had some kind of consequence, but instead they're just an annoyance. Time travel broke everything. One of the biggest mysteries of Lost was how the characters got to the island in the first place. In Season 3, we learned that it was because of a freighter crash orchestrated by Ben Linus, who we'd known since the first episode. Finally, someone with a mysterious past who was pulling strings from the shadows. Surely he'd be a big deal. What could he possibly want with the Oceanic 815 survivors? Well, after establishing him as one of the most powerful figures on the island, the writers killed him off and brought back time travel. Suddenly, none of the character development, the relationships, or the stakes of the show mattered anymore. Literally anything could happen at any time. The show could always just undo whatever it did next. Instead of enhancing the show, time travel made it worse. It allowed the writers to cheat their way out of writing themselves into corners and removed the emotional impact of every scene. Remember when Jack got shot in the finale? Yeah, me neither. The finale was emotional, but it was also nonsensical. After 6 seasons of building up the mythology of the island, explaining its origins, and showing us glimpses into its future, the finale gave us a tidy little package that wrapped up all the loose ends. We got answers to our questions and closure for the characters. That's not necessarily a bad thing. However, there was one massive problem. None of it made any sense. If you took away all the flash sideways and the time travel, what was left didn't make any sense. The island was a purgatory of sorts, where the characters could work out their issues and move on to the afterlife together. Okay, sure, that's a perfectly fine message, but it doesn't explain the science. We were given all this crazy science fiction technology, only for it to be revealed that none of it mattered. The island was just a magical place where dead people could hang out until they were ready to die. Again, not a terrible message, but considering the tone of the rest of the show, it felt unearned. There were too many characters and not enough closure. Throughout its 6-season run, Lost threw a lot of characters at us. Some of them were great, and some of them were awful. There was a large ensemble cast, which I generally enjoy, but the problem was that the show never gave us enough closure. Take, for example, the character of John Locke. Locke was arguably the most interesting character on the show for the first few seasons, but then he started cheating on his wife, killing people, and generally being a huge jerk. But we never got any real explanation for why. He was written as a deeply religious man, yet he engaged in questionable behavior that went against his own beliefs. Was he supposed to be a flawed character? That's never explicitly stated, and it makes no sense. This was just one of many underdeveloped plotlines that the show never bothered to resolve, and it drives me crazy. Polar bears. Just why? By far the strangest element of the show is the polar bears. They're literally polar bears. The show establishes that the island has a special kind of electromagnetic energy that allows it to manipulate time and space. It can produce an artificial magnetic field that causes the seasons to fluctuate wildly. Yet somehow, the island's ecosystem is completely unaffected. There's polar bears. There's also monkeys. Where are the dinosaurs? Look, I understand that the show was trying to create a sense of mystery and wonder, but this just makes no sense. If the island can manipulate time, why haven't the animals evolved? Why are there still monkeys? Why are there polar bears? It's never explained, so do you agree with my reasons? Let me know in the comments.